All right, you're welcome back. It's been 1 week already that the Academic Staff Union of Universities embarked on a strike over poor funding of Nigerian universities, but so far, the lecturers seem not to be getting the desired attention from the federal government.
Yeah, ASUU says the federal government is yet to begin any dialogue with the union over the ongoing strike, and we're still waiting to see how things are going to turn out as we wait day by day as the clock ticks and we watch. Chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Lagos State Chapter, ASUU, is here with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right. And we also have Dr. Isaac Oyewumi, ASUU, the Chairman, ASUU Chapter, Lagos State University. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Right. And joining us from our Abuja studio is the National President of ASUU, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi. Good morning, Professor. It's nice to have you join us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. Now, let me begin with you, President. You are there from Abuja studio. Let me start with you. 1 week and still counting. As at now, we hear that there's still no dialogue or there's still no moves to call ASUU to the table. Government is saying they don't have the monies you're requesting and all of that. Talk to us what ASUU is also doing to maybe bring a third party to help negotiate or mediate between ASUU and the government.
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, the Nigerian government has not invited us for any discussion, but that is not surprising. We know the ruling class in Nigeria, they do not see the education of the poor as a priority. Their children are not affected. Only the children of the poor Nigerians are affected. Having said that, Nigerians actually should see the point we are making, that this struggle of our union is not for ASUU members per se, is for the repositioning of Nigerian education. If Nigerians actually stand by us, we know the ruling class who enjoy oppressing us, depriving the children of the poor their right, the right to quality education. They will have no choice than to come back and discuss with us.
All right, let's bring it to Mr. Dele Ashiru, ASUU Lagos Chapter. The president was quoted as saying this morning in Paris that the 5% budgetary allocation to education, truly, that he believes it's just not enough, it's not sufficient, and that he is actually committed to fixing education. I wonder what you have to say about that. I mean, he seems to agree with you. You seem to be on the same page that, you know, what education is getting now is just not enough. So what exactly is wrong then?
Well, talk is cheap. He's been president for 3 years plus. And consistently, the budget for education has not gone past 8–9% of the entire budget. The UNESCO recommendation, which he alluded to, is 26%. What is actually happening is a manifestation of the dependent nature of our society. We're on strike in Nigeria. The president is refusing to talk to us, but he finds it convenient, comfortable to be in Paris and tell his paymasters that 5% is paltry.
That's a bit uncharitable. Who are his paymasters?
Oh, of course, you see, Nigeria is a neo-colonial economy. And nothing is done here until we get instruction or directives, either from, you know, Bretton Woods, IMF, or World Bank. If you look at our economic policies, of virtually all policies in Nigeria, including the education policy, always often tailored, you know, along those of our colonial masters. And one of ASUU's position is that it's high time that, you know, we delink. We must chart a course for ourselves. And that's why the children of the noble rich will not school in Nigeria. They are in Paris, they are in London, They are in the US and all over the world.
So is that to say that the paucity of funds to education, to health, and all of that is an instruction from the Bretton Woods?
Of course, beginning from, the structural adjustment program, privatization, commercialization, removal of subsidy. In developed society, in Paris, there are a number of social services that are subsidized by government. But here we are being told that you must remove subsidy on social amenities, health, education, transportation, etc. So what we are saying is that our political elites must begin to realize that it's high time they begin to, to sever that umbilical cord between our political economy and those who are dictating to us.
Okay, let me bring Akinloye into the mix now. There was a vox pop earlier where someone was saying that ASUU is made up of intellectuals, which is certainly the truth. We're talking about people, professors and doctors, research personalities and all of that. And over the years, ASUU has been going on strike for almost the same reasons. Yeah. Almost the same reasons. Sometimes just a little amended, sometimes just a little added, and all of that, but almost the same reasons. And someone would say that up until now, they expect ASUU to come up with new innovative ways of becoming independent of government when it comes to funds, when it comes to how the universities will be run, and all of that. But that is still lacking until now. What do you say?
Thank you. I will want to be cautious so that I'm not taking up of being uncharitable. But the truth of the matter is you will understand, so I will simplify that. Yes, it has to be this way, painfully, because what you see ASUU come out with when we get to this level of political action is the effect caused by the unprincipled and nil ideological way the country is being driven. And it just mentioned the fact that those who are leading us listens to some who direct them on how to go. And unfortunately, I think we've got a lot to do. Not until Nigeria gets it right from this dominated democracy. And that is being charitable again. Because the truth is that there is no democracy in Nigeria as it is. What we are experiencing is what is called plutocracy, government of the wealthy. You see, it's a basal. You have the period of harvest, which is the election time. So the highest bidder gets to office and they run the 4 years, the 2 years, the 5 years to make maximum return on their investment. So they are not bothered whether the children of the poor or 70% of us get educated. In fact, we were told during this recent renegotiation that just broken down that university education is no good for the country. Then you ask yourself, did
anybody really say that?
Yes, you can quote me. That I said.
So what was the option? What was the option they were putting on the table? If they say that university education is no good.
The option then is that we need education bank in a consumer economy, as he has just said. In a consumer economy, you want to bring education bank for the ward and children of the poor to get kid.
But isn't that how it's done in other parts of the world? Let me take it to the ASUU president, Mr. Abiodun Guyemi, right there in Abuja, talking about some of the issues that you have raised with the federal government, the alleged planned increase in tuition fees at the tertiary level, and of course the education bank, which Mr. Akinloye has just referred to. Why exactly does ASUU, not support an education bank? In other parts of the world, it is standard. I mean, where students actually take bank loans. When they start work after, their years in university, then they begin to pay gradually. Because the fact is, as far as, the other parts of the world are concerned, it is not realistic to expect free education at the tertiary level.
thank you. That statement about it is not appropriate to have free education at tertiary level is not correct. As we speak, in Germany, education is provided at all levels, and they even sponsor foreigners who come for university education in Germany. Then coming to talk about Nigerian government cannot afford free education at the university level. It is not correct. It is because we don't see education as a driver of our development. And that is what my colleagues in the house there with you call the ideological dimension. It is the ideological dimension in the sense that we don't use education to drive our developmental process. We have argued with them that Nigeria can afford free education. When government challenged us that how will they raise the 1.1 trillion that they owe, based on the needs assessment of the needs of Nigerian universities in order to reposition them, we set up a 7-person committee. We had a representative from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Federal Ministry of Education, NUC, and ASUU. These representatives came out with clear recommendations on how to source this fund. And today, government has sat on that report. If they release that report, you will see all these things outlined there. The issue of stamp duty, the issue of those areas they call cash cows. There are agencies and departments in this country that we don't know about their budgets. Nigerian government does not release the whole income to Nigerians when they capture when they present their budgets. So we think Nigerians don't have the full story. We as researchers, we have information on how they can generate this fund.
Well, what
now,
are you able to tell us? How exactly? Yeah, for the benefit. Yes. Give us ideas of how exactly you think government can generate funds.
I've just told you that we have agencies in this country that we don't declare their income. Okay. Government, over the years, have always reserved funds from those agencies as slush funds. When you hear about corruption, that 1.1 trillion has been diverted and so on and so forth, they are coming from these agencies. We know agencies like Central Bank, they have funds that are not declared, NDIC, NIPOS as we talk, and all others, that they have funds that are not declared to Nigerians. We are saying that we should look into those sources and we can fund education at all levels. Then, talking about the Education Bank, I want to quickly talk about that. Education Bank, as we have said consistently, is not new to Nigeria. It started operation in Nigeria in 1993. And the operations of the Education Bank went on for 7-8 years. It was because of massive corruption. And government was not meeting its obligations towards the bank that led to the folding up of the Education Bank. So Education Bank is not new to Nigeria. It has been tried, it failed. In other climes that you are talking about, basic things will be in place. When you talk of other climes, graduates are sure of getting job on graduation. Now you are saying Nigerian poor students should come and take loans, 1 million per year, amounting to 4 million at the end of a 4-year program. What percentage of Nigerian graduates get job on graduation? Compare that to other climes that you are talking about. Even in these other climes, our research has shown that some students on graduation who could not find job and who had the debt overhang on their neck, some of them were pushed to the point of committing suicide. Nigeria is not yet a place where we can be talking of, well, take loan, pay for your education. What is the percentage of Nigerians that can live well to support their children? We are talking of more than 60% of Nigerians who do not earn $2 per day, who cannot afford 2 square meals per day. And it is not correct that Nigerians are not supporting their children in the universities. As we speak, there are universities, federal, state, where students are already spending over 100,000 naira annually to cater for hostel and other levies. So the tuitions are already there. They are paying tuition directly or indirectly. Okay. Because what they talk When they talk of IGR universities, they're already extorting our students.
Okay, we have to leave you here now.
We are going to add to their body.
Yes. Professor Biodun Oguyemi, National President of ASUU, thank you so much. We're trying to manage the time in here, merge everything. Thank you very much for talking to us from Abuja. Now, Dr. Shiru, let me come to you on this. Like we were saying earlier on, from the signings of the agreements in 2009 to the subsequent agreements here and there, where ASUU gets back to the negotiating table, and sometimes renegotiation takes place, and then ASUU goes back to the classroom, and then after a little while they go back out, get out of the classroom again. Here we are. What will ASUU agree to that will make them come back to the classroom? As it is right now, the government is actually saying, see, we don't have that money, but let us come to the negotiating table. How far or how much will ASUU bend?
Well, thank you very much. It is not true that there's no money. It is about will. Only last month, government bailed out Polaris Bank, 800 billion. Between 1999 and today, the government of Nigeria had bailed out failed banks to the tune of 1.3 trillion.
No, 3.3.
3.3 trillion.
Of course, Polaris is the former Sky Bank, just to clarify that.
Now, when it is time to assist their cronies who had embezzled money and working freely, there will be money. But when it is the turn of the mass of the people, particularly education, there will be no money. So the minimum condition for us, our demands are clear. Last year, we moved away from memorandum of understanding.
Not the long list of demands now. The
no,
immediate demands.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Want, yes.
We moved away from memorandum of understandings
to memorandum of action.
Now, on the memorandum of action, pay 220 billion for revitalization of public universities.
Okay.
20 billion have been released, remaining 200 billion. Provide enabling environment for our union to interact with state governors who are busy creating universities.
So if government meets that demand, you're willing to go back to the classroom?
Oh, certainly. Why not?
200 revitalization fund. And part of what you're demanding too is that Wale Babalakin should be removed by all means. Mr. Akinloye, exactly what do you have against Wale Babalakin?
We are not likely to go back to renegotiation with Wale Babalakin. This is a man who wasted 16 months that we could use to talk on that table and achieve a lot. So he is a typical representation of the right that doesn't really see anything in university education at the public level. And so the truth of the matter is that we had seen him all, if I can put it that way. And so as an embodiment of what he has presented and represented, we will not be going back to the renegotiation with Babalakin.
So now that government is saying, let's renegotiate, are you willing to sit at the table?
Yes, but not with Babalakin.
Not with Babalakin.
Because the first 3 months of our negotiation period was wasted by Babalakin because they were repairing the Abuja airport.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll have more time to talk about this issue as we get along. Dr. Dele Ashiru, ASUU Chairman, Lagos Chapter, thank you very much for coming on the program. And Dr. Isaac Akinloye Oyewumi, rather, the Chairman ASUU LASU. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure very much.
And we also had the National President of ASUU, Professor Biodun Oguyemi, earlier on from our Abuja studio.